Hello, welcome to another of my episodes as I'm chasing my new fitness goals since moving up here to Missouri. If you missed that video, it's from a couple weeks ago. Feel free to follow it. Not many people are, but that's okay. It allows me to follow it, and the few who do can always call me out or maybe create a discussion, and that'll be great. So right now I'm at 204. So I've already lost the 10 pounds I was looking for, and I'm going further. So the goal is to make it to 185 by March 30th, so 31st, that time frame. So that's where I'm going, and I expect after the first 14 days, it will start getting a little bit harder. So now, remember, I talked about where I'd like to go ahead and you know, this has mostly been a tribute channel, but also show workouts, and I'll start talking about technique later. I've already talked about the 6 categories of fitness. And I also mentioned, though, I want to start talking about books and certain magazines. So I like to start that part of the series off with this. My first martial art book. Charles Duriel, the person who got me started in the martial arts by taking me to see The Way of the Dragon, known at the time as Return of the Dragon at Fairchild Air Force Base. Soon after, got me this book. He saw I was hooked, and I think, we talked to this day. He was hoping I would get hooked. He thought I needed something. He was my big brother of America. And so he got me this book, Bruce Lee, King of Kung Fu. It's the first martial arts book I ever had, and I absolutely fell in love with it. Absolutely. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, is this for me? And he said, yes, it is. And I just couldn't believe it. I have it to this day, as you can see. It was written by Felix Dennis and Donna Teo. And you can see it's a little worn. I have a little bit of separation here. But I am 60 now, and I've had this book, well, since 1970. Well, I think it came out in early 75. So it was brand new at the time. So 74, 75, I've had this book since then. So that's a long time. And I just loved it. I used to put this book on the floor, put my Hot Wheels and Matchboxes on there, drive it up like I said, a drive-in movie, watching Bruce Lee. So it has pictures from The Big Boss, a movie I hadn't seen at the time. When I got this book, the only movie I had seen of Bruce Lee was Way of the Dragon. And of course, I saw him in The Green Hornet as a kid. And after this point, I just couldn't wait to see all the other movies. Just could not wait to see them. And I would draw or copy some of these pictures. And this was the first one I copied, was this one right here, where he's fighting Chuck Norris, because I had just seen the movie. And it was just great. I couldn't wait to see all the other movies. And I'd eventually get to see them. I'm about 9 years old at this time. And by the time I hit 12, I got to see Way of the Dragon first, then Enter the Dragon, and then Fist of Fury and The Big Boss, also known as Fist of Fury and The Chinese Connection. That's how they were actually titled at the time in the United States. So it's a great book. I read it all the time. It's one of my favorites. And it would get me in this pursuit of buying martial art books and martial art magazines and reading and studying them, looking at the pictures, being enthralled by these superstars of martial arts and looking at them as role models for most of them. It's interesting in this book, being so young, I read it right away. And I got to the chapter around his death, and he's using cannabis, and I had no idea what that meant. I didn't get the underlining things like with Betty Ting Ping. It doesn't get into such detail because it's kind of more inferred that possibly something, because he dies there. But I just looked at all the pictures and read the stories and talked about his first fight when he's 13 and he's taking Wing Chun and comes to America, and his martial art prowess and his fortitude to get into Hollywood and make martial art movies. Not my first martial art magazine, but the first one that was a gift, and I still have it to this day. The other ones as a kid I've lost. Is this one right here with the cover of Aldecaucus, came out in February of 76. My mom was now divorced from her second husband. We lived at this apartment building in Spokane, Washington, at the corner of Napa and Mission. It was on the top of a drugstore. And I got this book, or I got this magazine. The guy, I was always talking martial arts. And anybody who listened, this guy who lived in the apartment complex was a very nice man, and got me this for our soon after Christmas, actually. Discount February, so soon after Christmas. But I thought it was cool out to caucus. I would get fortunate enough later to finally get to meet Mark Dukakis. He ain't going to remember me, as with a lot of other martial artists around. But what was really interesting is that the article had Count Dante in it. As you can see, this is pretty beat up over the years. I've kept it, and I try to keep it pretty nice condition. I didn't as a kid, of course. I had Count Dante. Well, I remember getting this. This is about the dojo wars that took place in Chicago. Maybe another day I'll get into that. There's videos on YouTube that have already done that. But of course, when I got that, I was really interested in it. And that was the, it's a two-parter. So I had to make sure I got the other magazine to get it. But of course, Count Dante was in another thing I read as a kid. I was a big Batman fan, still am. I don't read most of the modern comic book adaptations. The stories are not very good. They're just not. Plot is gone. Character development's gone. More for, I'll be honest, I'm not woke. And then they're not particularly drawn very well anymore. The artistic merits is greatly dived down. If anybody's into comic books, probably the last best one I've read has been The White Knight. It's a Batman one that came out a few years ago. But in any case, Master of Kung Fu Shang-Chi, I still have it to this day, came out in '75. And I had to get it because he was kind of like the comic book version of Bruce Lee to me. So I got it. And guess who's in here? Of course, my memory serves me. It is, yep, Count Dante's Deadliest Man Alive book you can get from him. So I just get my glasses on and I got to read it. It's absolutely hilarious. Deadliest Man Alive. Count Dante is the undefeated supreme grand master of the fighting arts. Count Dante won the world overall fighting arts championship, master and expert divisions, after defeating the world's top masters of judo, boxing, wrestling, kung fu, karate, aikido, etc. Even has etc. in there. In death matches, on August 1, 1967, the World Federation of Fighting Arts crowned the Count the world's deadliest fighting arts champion and master. And of course, you could send off for your book from Count Dante. Well, I've been seeing that advertisement in comic books for a while. And so when I got this one as a gift, I immediately saw that picture and I knew, oh, Count Dante, maybe he's real after all. Even though I like comic books, I wasn't too sure if he was real or not. And I knew he couldn't be as good as Bruce Lee. But there he was, and I knew exactly who that was just from the picture, just knew it. And so I kind of ate up that article, and the next one that would come after that. And there's another one of there. So in anyways, that really was my foray into buying martial art magazines, and I used to buy them all up at the time. It's sad now in the internet world because we don't have as many magazines in the martial arts because of the internet. So it's really hard to get in and find a good magazine, and they're just not as thick and full of content like they used to be. Of course, you can get online ones, but it's just not quite the same. So I'll go over more of my collection as the series goes, and I thank you all very much. And so far, me being competitive and putting this on YouTube, I'm meeting my weight goals. And so as of this morning, it's starting to slow down a little bit. First week and a half was really a great dump, but I'm at 204. So keep it up, and maybe I'll get to 185 by March. This is where it's going to start to get a little bit harder, I think. So thank you very much. Have a spectacular week. Os.